One day, my father told me, you must escape from Vietnam because there is no place for you here. I was in that jungle for 9 months just by myself. It was a desert experience. I'm not afraid anymore. And that keeps me to go forward. If you trust God, if you believe in God, nothing is impossible. I felt the call of God when I was only 19. It was in 1979, only 4 years after the fall of Saigon, in 30th April 1975. When the communists took over south of Vietnam, what they did was they expelled all the seminarians from the seminaries, and then they closed all the seminaries in south of Vietnam. So all these seminarians had to go home and live with their family, and they could not continue their study in order to pursue vocation. When I joined the seminary, it was in 1979, there was no seminary. What we call is the underground seminary. It was a secret setup. And it's very dangerous for myself personally and for my family as well. Initially, when I felt that God was calling me to become a priest, I rejected that idea. First of all, because I felt that I was unworthy to become like the disciple of Jesus. But then God continued to come back to me. And each time, it's stronger and stronger. And finally, I have to surrender myself to God and ask Him, what do you want me to do with my life? And the voice was speaking to me in my mind was, give yourself to me. I want you to become a priest. And I said, no. And I tried to reason with God, but God has His own way. And finally, I surrendered myself. I took all my courage, and I went to see the parish priest, and I told him what happened to me. And he very supportive, even though he knew it was very difficult for me and for all of us in that situation. So what we did was, we secretly I registered myself with the vocation director. And then the bishop accepted me as a candidate. One year later, it was 1980, I was conscripted because there was a big fighting between Vietnam and Cambodia, or Cambodia. So they conscript all the young men, including the Catholic. And that's the best way to get rid of me, because I think the local police got a suspicion. They may know that I was a seminarian. So by forcing me to join the Communist Army, and I have to serve at least for 4 years. And within that 4 years, I may not be able, if I go home, then I would not be able to continue my study anyway. And I might die during the battle. So I had no choice. Because if I did not join the communist army, my family will be in big trouble. So anyway, I went to join in the army, and they took us to the secret camp, the training camp of the communist army, and we did not know where we were going and where we were that day because they took us in the bus would cover. So we have no idea of the direction where we were going. And within 5 hours on that bus, in the evening, roughly about 6 p.m., when we get out, it was in the midst of the jungle. We had no idea, and all of us were so sad. We knew that we could not escape. So I was in that training camp in secret location. No one can get out, no one can get in, only ourselves in that secret camp. And we were there for about 6 months, trying to learn how to fight. And we was in the field for 8 hours every day. And then when we came home at night time, we have 2 hours for study politics. It's been brainwashed by the communists. So at the end of the day, we were exhausted and tired. And at the end of that training, which lasted for 6 months, one of my leader of the group, he took pity on me. He became my very good friend, and we can build the trust. And then he told me the secret. He said, Peter, that's only for yourself. Don't tell anybody. But our battalion, he said to me, when we finish the training, we were sent to fight in Cambodia. And 80% of the Vietnamese soldiers who went to fight in Cambodia will never return. So he suggested to me the idea, if you want to become a priest or to pursue your vocation, you must escape from the army camp. And I will help you. I will show you the way how to get out of this camp. Initially, I couldn't trust him, But anyway, I think about it and I pray about it. And I think he telling me the truth. And finally, I planned to escape from the army camp. And with the help of him and other people, I was able successfully to get out of the camp. But where do I live? That's my big question. I couldn't stay with my family because I knew that the military police and the local police would come and get me. So after I escaped successfully from the army camp, I became a fugitive. After traveling from place to place, it's not safe anymore. So I ended up living by myself in a jungle. I just managed to build a hut and clear the ground. My family would secretly give me some rice and fish sauce, salt, so I can survive. And I was in that jungle for 9 months just by myself. It was a desert experience. And every night I prayed to God. I said, God, help me, rescue me, take me out of here. But there was totally silent. God seemed totally silent. There was no answer. And I don't know what to do. It was my dead end. There was no way out. So one day, my father told me, son, you must escape from Vietnam if you want to pursue your vocation, because there is no place for you here. And it was really sad for me, because even my own country, there's no place for me. But God worked in a very mysterious way. He forced me to make a decision that I have to leave my own country, leave your motherland, and go to the place where I will show you. This is my vocation. That's my goal. And so one night, I secretly managed to escape from Vietnam by boat. So I got onto the boat, small wooden boat, only about 11 meters long and 2.5 meters wide, with 51 people on board, from the elderly to adult and to young child. And we crossed the ocean with the hope that we will be able to escape from Vietnam to a refugee camp somewhere. In fact, we did not know exactly what direction we are heading. Just got on the boat and we just sailed. The first 2 days of that journey was okay, but the third day and the fourth day and the fifth day, we encountered the big storm. It was really terrible. And whenever I look up, I see the big wave is coming down like this, like a 2 or 3 story, boom and boom, bombarded on our boat. And with that small wooden boat, we thought that we never survive. All of us on that boat pray, whether you're Buddhist, you're Catholic, or you're, whatever religion, you pray to higher being, supreme being, or to God, to Buddha, to save you. And it was a miracle. When we landed safely in Malaysia, in a small island, Pulau Bidong, it turned out to be a refugee camp. All of us, no matter what faith you belong to, all of us have to acknowledge that there was something that protecting us on that journey. And that's why we were able to survive. And for me, I would never ever forget that experience as long as I live, because I knew it was God who had protecting us on that journey. And it's so powerful for me. So whenever I read the passage from the Exodus, it becomes alive to me. When you pass through the raging water, the water will not overwhelm you, because I am with you. And in fact, from Jeremiah, I have called you by name and you are mine. So I work it out. Our God is the God of faithfulness, and He always keeps His promise. So after I arrived in Pulau Bidong in Malaysia, it was a refugee camp. And normally, when you are a refugee in a refugee camp, you have to register your name, and you will be interviewed first by the American delegation. That is their priority. Every refugee in Pulau Bidong have to be interviewed by American delegates. Since I have no priority to go to America, because I only have uncle, auntie, and cousin, not parents or brothers and sisters or wife or like husband. That is the first priority, and then you will be able to be sponsored to go to America. So they asked me to go to another country, and I have to wait until the Australian delegation came to the refugee camp in Pulau Bidong, and then they will interview me. So I was very lucky. When they interviewed me, they asked me, what would you like to do when you go to Australia? I said, my only dream was that I want to continue my study so that I can become a priest. So the interviewer told me through a translator, I said, we will find a Catholic organization to sponsor you so that you can go to Australia and then you can continue your study. I was so happy when I heard that. 6 weeks later, I got wonderful news. that my name appear on the list of those who will be able to leave the refugee camp to a transit camp in Kuala Lumpur, that means the capital of Malaysia, so that they can go to another country like Australia. In my case, I was able to go to Australia. And I could not tell you how happy I was when I landed here, because I knew it's my second chance. I was born again, to be honest. God had given me another opportunity to start my life from the scratch. When I just arrived here, I could not speak English at all. Very few sentences. And English was extremely difficult for me. I could not understand what the Australian was saying. They could not understand me. So that means I could not communicate. So I totally living in isolation, become very lonely. But I make up my mind that I will study English so that I can go back to this seminary. So I dedicate myself. I study English for every day, 10 hours every day. And within a year, my English improving. And then I was accepted by the late Archbishop William Foley to join St. Giles Seminary here in Guildford for the Archdiocese of Perth. In February 1984, I started my initial formation with the Redemptorists, and it took me 10 years. First, I had to do my pre-novitiate and then novitiate, and then after I took my first vows, or temporary vows, in 1988, they sent me back to Melbourne. They sent me to Melbourne to continue my study for 6 years, and then after 10 years, I was ordained at Redemptorist in Melbourne in 16th of July 1994. By looking back, my life, especially when I celebrate my silver jubilee, when I was my 25th year of ordination in 2019, and I can see clearly now some of the things which I could not understand before. For example, the journey of my own vocation. Why did God call me? Initially, I have no idea. Now, when I'm looking back, I can see there was the hand of God always leading me through different steps in my life. And sometimes it can be quite mysterious. I have no idea. For example, why did I leave Vietnam? Why did I was ordained in Australia, but not in America or some other country? So slowly, God unfold His plan for me. And there was a reason behind everything that God had done in my life. I have been appointed by the Archbishop Timothy Costello as a chaplain for University of Western Australia, but at the same time, I'm also a college chaplain at St. Thomas More College, which has about nearly 400 residential students who live there. Every week we have Mass on Thursday at 12 p.m., followed by lunch provided by the Catholic chaplaincy, in order to have the students to mixing to mix with other students and to share their own experience. And also have a program called faith sharing, where we come together as a group, and I encourage the students to share about their faith journey. And at the same time, for the St. Thomas More Chapel community, where I celebrate the Mass at the weekend, like Saturday and Sunday at 5:30 p.m. In a sense that I look after the spiritual well-being of all the Catholic students. I believe that God had called me and chosen me as a priest for a reason, for His own plan. But you need to listen to God attentively in order to discern God wants you to do with your life. You know, like all the things that happened in my case, some of them I still do not understand clearly, but because I trust in God, I believe that God knows what is the best for me. And if I surrender myself totally and completely to God, and He will be able to use me for His own plan, things that you will never dream of.
My life is a miracle. Every child has a story of God's love to share. Shalom World, tune into God's love story.